Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be my best study tips for you for studying for exams or finals or whatever it may be. I made a video like this a little while back. It was one of the first videos on my channel actually, and that was a while ago and I've written a lot of tests since then. So I've decided to make an updated version giving you guys my very best tips for how you can do well in school yourself and do well on your tests, because I know it can be really hard to study. And before we get into the video, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for 500 subscribers. I cannot believe we have reached this goal. Honestly, I am so shocked that it just feels like I was just starting up my channel. Now there's 500 of you guys that watch my videos and I'm just so grateful. So now without further ado, let's get on into the tips. So my first tip is to create a study schedule. So I really don't hear many YouTubers or people talk about creating a study schedule. It was actually something that just came to my mind during my first final this semester, and I did it for all of them and it worked super well. So I have actually one of them, like one of the ones that I made on my phone right here, that I'm going to read to you a little bit about, because it can be kind of confusing to just say make a study schedule. So basically what I did is I took every day that I knew I was going to be studying, from my start date to all the way down to the final date, and basically for every day I would just make sure that there's enough time to fit everything in. So for example, I would put like read through Unit A, Lesson 3 and 4, and the corresponding textbook pages, review the assignments for those lessons, and find your mistakes, etc. So basically I would just do it like that so that I have enough time for all the lessons to fit in to it. So if I knew I had like 20 lessons and however many days to study, I would know how many lessons would have to go on each day. So that's basically just kind of a very brief thing, but you can obviously change it based on what you need to do for your studying. And it's just super great because for two reasons actually that I want to talk about. The first reason is I don't know about you, but if you've ever had an exam where it's like 2 days before and you're like crap, I forgot to study this, and this, and you're super panicked and stressed. This will not happen if you make a study schedule, because yes, it is a small amount of time at the beginning, but then you know that there's enough time for everything and you'll stick to it because you don't want to fall behind. Because if you fall behind, it's just terrible, because then you have to do 2 days in one of studying because you still have to get everything done on the list, right? So that's a really good way because you'll get everything done and you can't really procrastinate. And the second reason it's so great is because, how do I explain this? I'm just trying to think. It's super great because I don't know about you if it's just a me thing, but whenever I write it down in my planner, like, oh, I have to study for chemistry, and then I'll kind of sit down and study. I'll study for like 30 minutes and be like, yeah, no, that's enough. Like, whatever I studied, check it off, right? I don't know if that's just a me thing or if that's a you guys thing too, but the great thing about this is you couldn't really do that. You'd have to make sure that you were actually studying sufficiently and studying what you needed to do so that you didn't fall behind with your studying. My next tip is for certain finals, and it's to study the vocabulary. So studying the vocabulary, even if it's not a vocab test, is something that can be really overlooked by people, including me. But for my finals this year, for the finals that I thought needed it, I really did study the vocabulary. So classes this works well for is like a history or social class if you have that, and English class for sure, and biology actually. Biology is super important to study the vocabulary, and this one's pretty overlooked. But even if it's not a vocab test, the vocab words I guarantee you will appear in your questions, and if it's a multiple choice, the vocab words will be the answer. So it'll be like A, B, C, D. So even if you know the answer to the question, if you don't know what any of the answers mean, it's kind of useless. So definitely study the vocabulary. I use the Quizlet app. It's super great, and I just do like 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day until I really know them. And then once I do really know them, you feel way better for your test, and it'll also be easier to learn the material for the second time because you know all the vocabulary words. That's what I found especially, so I would definitely recommend for the courses you think need it, making a Quizlet or flashcards or however you learn vocabulary best. So for other classes that are a bit more practice question based, like math, physics, chemistry, trying to think of other ones. You guys get the idea. You know which ones are more practice problem based. Don't just do practice problems. Yes, do practice problems that are from like your textbook and stuff. I'm not saying neglect that. But make your own practice test. This is actually so helpful to make your own practice test, because then you're learning when you're making the test and you're learning when you take the test. And I know you're gonna think like, oh, I'm gonna remember the answers, but if you make the test long enough and you like make it on a separate day and then take it on the next day, you're not gonna remember the answers, honestly. And this is just super helpful, because then it gives you the chance to make sure you really know the material. And I recommend going through your notes and looking at the practice problems you did in class, because most times they'll be similar. If you can do all the ones from like your notes and stuff, then you can do the ones on the test most likely, because that's how most tests are, is questions from your notes, basically with different numbers, or at least that's what I've kind of found. So make sure to do all the ones from your notes, and then also do some with your textbook alongside of that. Now comes the problem for motivation. So I actually have 2 tips for motivation that I'm going to give you guys. The first one is to give yourself rewards. So this also can correspond with your study schedule, because your study schedule has such like specific things you need to do. So you'll have on there like study my vocabulary for 15 minutes, read through lessons 3 and 4 like I just showed you guys just now. So you could make it so after you're done all the stuff for lesson 3 and you review the vocabulary, okay, you get 10 or 20 minutes of phone time or something, or your favorite food or snack or bubble bath or something, just to motivate you. So break up everything that you need to do that day for that subject into chunks, and don't make them like 5-minute chunks, guys, because then you'll get nothing done. But actually make them good chunks where you actually do quite a bit of work, and then give yourself a reward, because it'll make you more motivated to study. And yes, you could still give yourself that reward if you didn't put in the work, but it never feels as good, and it won't be as rewarding as as it will be if you actually do the work. My second tip for motivation is very simple, and it's to ask yourself one simple question: what do I want more, to sit on my phone or to have a good grade? This has a lot to do with prioritizing, which I talked a bit on my channel about a while ago, but I do kind of want to make another video about it. To prioritize, basically, if your priority is to do well on your test, then you're going to pick it over sitting on your phone. It's that simple. So just asking yourself that question is super beneficial to you, and you will actually be more motivated to study, because if you ask yourself like, okay, what do I want more? What's going to benefit me in the long run more? Am I going to remember this time that I sat on my phone? Or am I going to remember like walking out of that and finding out I got like a really good grade? So personally for me, I don't even remember what I was doing on my phone yesterday when I was sitting on my phone. So is it really going to be that rewarding to you to sit on your phone for that much time and to have a bad test grade? Probably not. So ask yourself that simple question and give yourself some rewards, and you'll be feeling much more motivated. So my last tip for you guys is to study in groups, but not all the time. So I recommend doing quite a few study sessions alone, and then meeting up with some friends to do one study session, and then maybe doing some alone for a while, and then doing one with friends again. And the reason why I say this is because even if you're friends and you are super on task with your studying, it's not going to be quite the same as studying alone, just because you're talking and maybe you're discussing ideas, but maybe some things you just need to be doing practice problems or reading or doing vocab, and that you can't really do by talking to your friends. So, but what I recommend is when you hang out with your friends to study, being with a group can be really good, because you can do certain things that you just can't do alone, just like there's things that you have to do alone and not with a group. Similarly like that. So the things that I would recommend doing is when you're with a friend is asking any questions that you couldn't really figure out, because then maybe one of your friends will know. The other thing I recommend doing is sitting and discussing the ideas. I know this seems really boring and like super dumb, but it really does help. So sitting with your friends and talking through the key ideas, even if they're things you already think that you know really well, it'll solidify it in your mind, especially for classes like biology, English, trying to think, chemistry especially. Chemistry is really helpful. And then you can also teach it to someone else. So if one of your friends doesn't understand a concept, then you can teach it to someone else. For example, I was helping one of my friends with chemistry right before my chemistry final, and it was a topic that I knew like 80%, but then when I explained it to her out loud and drew a diagram for her, I was like, it just clicked in my head. And then on my final there was a big question about that, and I got it right. So it's always good to teach it to someone else, even if you think you know it, and to discuss the ideas with your friends. Again, even if you think that you know it, because the more solidified it is in your brain, the better it will be. So that was all my tips for you guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and then it helped you to create maybe some better study habits. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you all next time. Bye!